Logic over emotion. Corey Felder. On today's episode, I have the pleasure of sharing an interview that I conducted with one of Atlanta's leading event managers and brand ambassadors. Stay tuned to learn how college students brought their business idea to life. After all, who said only tech startups are launched in dorm rooms? Welcome to the Stitch for Success podcast. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, daughter, entrepreneur, author, friend, and lifelong learner. For over 8 years, I was trapped in corporate America and dreamed of escaping. I took the leap over 15 years ago, retiring from corporate. With just $700 and an idea, over the years we have grown multiple six-figure and seven-figure brands. I have mentored and employed dozens of other people along the way. The road has not been easy. I have battle wounds, bruises, and scars to prove it. And on this podcast, I share lessons learned from my failures and successes. You will also learn from other business owners who have become stitched for success as they pursue their entrepreneurial passions. My goal and hope for you is that you can learn from our mistakes and our wins and have an extremely successful business that stands the test of time. I am so excited to bring you today's interview. He is the co-founder and CEO of Hit Squad Entertainment, a 15-year-old strategic event planning, marketing, and promotions company. He serves as event manager for the Ludacris Foundation, marketing director of Oak Atlanta, and an executive member of Emerging 100 Atlanta. And honestly, his list of credentials go on and on. Corey Felder joins me today. Starting his entrepreneurial journey with 8 friends, during his time at Clark Atlanta University, he has become well known in the city of Atlanta as one of the best event managers in town. Recently adjusting to the restrictions of COVID, he launched Parking Lot Concerts. I am absolutely thrilled to bring you my interview with Corey Felder. So today I have with me Corey Felder. Thank you for joining me this morning on the Stitch for Success podcast, Corey.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So let's just jump right in. What was the reason you started your business?
Honestly, I saw a void. At a young age, I had already been bitten by the bug of trying to throw events and things like that, and like the planning part. But at my age, I was looking at people who are my age or a little older now, throwing parties for people who were, in college, and it didn't make sense. And there was a disconnect in how the events were taken and curated. So with that being said, I saw fit for me to do something different and basically went in and filled that void. I didn't look at the starting a company. I didn't even look at it as trying to be on my own. It was really just about filling a void and doing something different, seeing a need and filling that need.
What would you say was one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome in your business?
Honestly, role playing, as far as, everybody playing their part. Wasn't the hardest thing to overcome, but it was the biggest because it was essentially the thing that kept us going. Everybody, when I first started, it was my idea from my brain. It was my brainchild to do it, so I did everything. But after a while, to expand and to be good, I had to realize that I needed some help doing things. So everybody had to step into a role. And the hard part was kind of trying to pick that out of everybody, what everybody was good at. And since we figured that out, we've been clicking on all cylinders. But it took some time, and it was a hard thing to do. Understand who's good at investing, who's good at, financing, who's good at promotion, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so do you still currently, is it still 9 of you still in the business?
Not right now, no. After a while, we kind of, some of us went our separate ways, nothing disgruntled, just, again, we started this as kids, and as kids, some of us, broke apart and went to go do other things, but they're still my friends. There are people who were at my wedding. There are people who are at my special events. So it's, we still have our own group chat, even though some people are in other places, but for the most part, it's about 4 of us who handle the day to day still,
Okay.
and still play, roles in that capacity as well.
That's great. So speaking of like playing roles, how did you all get your funding started for your business? Did you bootstrap? Did you have investors? How did you all do that?
We started super grassroots, going down to our first event. I'll tell a story. A gentleman wanted to give us the opportunity to invest in Homecoming and be on the party, and told us to bring $3,500 by the next morning. So, I mean, that came from borrowed rent money, that came from calling home, that came from just anything that you can think of. I think a friend of mine sold a Sega Genesis or something like that, or a PlayStation. So we found it every way we could. And after that, it was kind of just a reinvesting what we made from from that point on.
Gotcha. Okay. What is one of the biggest mistakes you feel that you all or you all made in regards to the business?
Hmm. One of the biggest mistakes, not saving early on. Early on, again, we weren't looking at it as starting a company. We looked at it as filling a void and doing something fun. And we made a lot of money early on and blew a lot of money early on. And just to know where we would be if we had a mindset of creating a real business and where we, just looking 10, 15 years down the road, and really taking it serious. I think some sort of saving would have been a better thing for us. We made it back, but I mean, we literally talk about it all the time, man. What if we had, remember that one party? What if we kept all of that money? That's a normal conversation for us.
Right.
Mm,
It's interesting you say that because that's one of the biggest things I tell people who are starting out is save 10% of every dollar you make.
absolutely.
Say it over and over again, but that is one of the biggest mistakes we made too, because you're so passionate and you're just in it.
Right.
And yeah, that's definitely one of the things I say as well. So, knowing what you know now, I know we talked about savings, but what's one of the things you would tell your younger self starting out on your entrepreneurial journey?
Um, Logic over emotion. Uh,
Mm,
emotional business decisions is something that happens every day. I personally think that our president makes most of his decisions based on emotion and how he feels, and I think that's the thing that rubs the country the wrong way. And why none of the things add up. It's not logical ever. It's usually just emotion. That's how he felt at that moment. Um, and there are just a lot of things that can be done with that. My younger self and my friends, we did everything just based off the hoopla, and it was good because that's what got us where we were. Um, but had we strategized a little bit more, if we had thought about some of the rooms we got put in, the situations we got put in, and manifested those into something different, maybe we would have been where we are now quicker. Maybe we would have been further than where we are now. There's so many different, you know, ways we could think about that, but God doesn't make any mistakes, so they're all lessons learned. But if I had to reach back and I was given that opportunity, that'd be it for sure.
oh, wow. I love that. That may be one of my morning motivations on Instagram. Logic over emotion. That is, that's a key
Absolutely.
point right there for sure. So, what's something that keeps you up at night?
My brain, all of my ideas come at the most random times. And when I'm idle or chilling or something like that is when they come. If you go in my phone, my notes section, it's full of random stuff. I think I have a note that says random ideas, and they come at 4 a.m. or when I'm driving home. I'm the guy that goes and sits in his driveway for extra 20 minutes because I'm thinking about something. Um, so yeah, the ideas just always keep coming. It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, it definitely is. How do you decide? Like what's your process for deciding which idea you chase versus those that you either let fall to the side for a while or you don't pursue at all? Like what's your deciding factor?
Um, Honestly, that's part of my secret weapon. It's my stomach. I really have a gut instinct that leads me in everything that I do. Um, Most people have a lot of different factors, and of course, there's logic. There's planning, and seasons and things like that. But as far as what I take seriously, it feels different in my stomach, literally. And I know which one's going to be a hit. And I hate to say that, anytime that I've really trusted my gut, I've never been wrong.
Wow. So that's another good one. Trust your gut. That is
Trust your
so good. Um, so what is it that excites you and gets you out of bed every morning?
the opportunity to do something different. I am a creator by by heart. You know, back into the role play conversation. I realized early on that I wasn't in it for the money. The money has been good, and the money's been given to me, and I thank God for everything that He's given me, my family, my friends, any of my loved ones, and of course myself. But I do this for the smiles. I do this to, for the appreciation on people's faces. Um, Not necessarily for the, hey, Corey, you did a great job, but to walk around and somebody anonymously say, yeah, man, when I was in college, I went to the Hit Squad party. I actually used to tell my friends, it's very important that we make memories and we make moments. Um, I don't ever want people to say, hey, I went and partied at Club Atrium. I want people to say, hey, I partied with Hit Squad. I partied with Corey. I partied with Anthony. So that's been our business model, really just making sure experience was top notch. And that's just who we've been, and that's what we've kept to.
I love that. So I know you because you've been in Zeus's closet and you've gotten so much apparel decorated through the company, and we appreciate that. I just would like to know, how do you feel wearing your company logo, and what was it like the first time you put on something with Hit Squad on it? How did that
Well,
feel?
it felt amazing. We actually got obsessed, if I'm being honest. And I wish there was a Zeus's closet that we were familiar with it at the time, because that was a part of our process, finding the right apparel and people who could represent it the way that it was in my head. Again, my ideas come far and wide, and you know, man, why don't we do a sweatsuit? What, a whole sweatsuit? Yeah, let's do a whole sweatsuit and let's stitch it on. No more screen print. Maybe make sure that they can't come off. And make sure we have a good piece of cotton. They're looking like, what? Who cares about what kind of shirt it is? Who cares about how durable it is? I care. So we had to figure that out early on. It was hard, man, because everybody's working, out of dorm rooms and out of back shops and stuff like that. And I hadn't been introduced yet. But putting that logo and seeing it in different ways was extremely important, to the point that I went and got it tatted in my skin. So,
Oh,
um,
wow.
yeah. So it's amazing. It's a badge of honor for me. It's a reminder of meetings in the dorm at 3 a.m. It's a reminder of packing in a car, and our first idea of, hey, let's throw some house parties and get our money up so we could throw a really big club party. And the next day I have a call about, hey, why don't you throw this one big party on homecoming? I'm like, what? It's an amazing opportunity. And we go and do it scared, with our rent money put up, and we win and we triple our money. And knowing that we accomplished that, literally just scared to death, making money, literally bet it all. We put our lives on the line, literally making something happen just because we believed in it.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. I had the opportunity to look at Oak Atlanta's website, and I was so impressed. I asked Ethan last night, I'm like, why haven't we been here? So, I mean, it looks fantastic. It's beautiful. So, I need to get out and about at
Yeah,
some point.
we have a lot going on there. That's a blessing that also came in my lap, and I was able to share with my friends. Um, and we do everything there. So even if it's not a party, we have your rooftop vibe, happy hour. We have comedy on the weekends. So there's a lot of different options there. We're just blessed to be able to create, in our own space.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm super, super proud of you. So I'm going to get ready to wrap it up, but I have one more question. What one tip would you share with aspiring entrepreneurs or someone who's just getting started in their business?
Map out your destination. A friend of mine, Justin Miller, who actually gets a lot of things from Zeus as well. He's actually the person who's over SMS trial attorneys who I, put in my shirt orders for. Was a client of mine, but he gave me something that is something I've always known, but I've never been able to articulate. And he said, figure out where you want to go and then draw the map backwards, step by step. And he said, it's figure out how to get there. It's harder to try to go and say, what's next after this and what's next after this. Well, 25-year-old you and 35-year-old knows things differently. You see things differently, see point of views in life differently. So if you draw backwards, you skip a lot of those steps because you've already, I don't got to do that because I've already been there and I know how to get to that step. So draw it backwards and you'll get there quicker. And you'll get there for sure because now you can see it. I would definitely tell anybody who's starting to get an understanding of what they want to do. The quicker you know yourself and know what you want to do with your life, the better, and easier it would become to manifest those things and put those pieces in place.
That is so true. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Corey. I know you are always on the go, traveling and making things happen. And I'm so proud of you and so proud of your business. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time this morning with me. I do appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. You've been great to me, been great to my business, you, your family, and everybody. And that speaks volumes. So I'm here for whatever you guys need, especially you. Everything.
Thank you so much, Corey. I am so grateful for Corey taking the time to be a part of the Stitched for Success podcast. And Corey left us with some great tips, and there were so many nuggets in his interview, but I pulled out 3 that I want you to take with you today. 1, remember to save some of what you make, and I've talked about that before. I suggest 10%. If you can save more, do so, but just make sure you save something. 2, logic over emotion. I think that is just so true. There have been many times where I have been emotionally attached to an idea or emotionally attached to a process, and I had to let that go because it wasn't logical. It just didn't make sense. So logic over emotion. And 3, start with the end in mind. When you launch a new product, when you start your business, have an idea of what you want that to look like at the end of the road. Now, once you actually reach that, then you come up with a new picture. You come up with a new end of the road. But those are 3 things I want you to take with you today. And thank you so much for listening to this interview. Also, before we head out today, I wanted to just remind you, if you're interested in learning more about the Imprinted Apparel Academy, or you're interested in a complimentary coaching session with me, please visit stitchforsuccess.com and click the link at the top of the page. I hope you all know that I am truly grateful and humble to have you join me and take time out of your day to listen to the Stitched for Success podcast. I would love for us to continue this conversation. You can direct message me on Instagram at Stitched for Success. You can also email me at stitchforsuccess@gmail.com. I would love to get to know you all a little bit better. And as always, it is such a pleasure. I would love if you could share this podcast, subscribe, and rate. Thank you so much. Have a great one.